Watch out, road. You're about to get stomped on. With the next generation of ultra-high performance tire. For the modern muscle car, it's a new level of traction, stability, and wet braking capabilities. Step up to the all-new Nitto 555 G2. Check it out at nittotire.com. It's what's next.
Blog Talk Radio.
We are the UR Tennis Network. Our mission is to be the voice of tennis. We enlist a team of passionate enthusiasts to promote our sport. We strive to bring interesting perspectives on the many spins of tennis. Our goal is to provide the learners of our sport with current news and information from many angles. We seek active participation from communities interested in tennis, but tennis is not interested in them. We are expanding our outreach. Tennis is a true lifetime sport that needs to be talked about, and the UR Tennis Network pledges to pursue this idea relentlessly.
Good morning and welcome to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, coming at you live from Atlanta, Georgia, where we have a little bit of a break in the rain. Thank goodness. I don't know if it's been raining where you are. We went from shorts and flip-flops over the weekend to rain and yuck and temperature drops, and it's supposed to be warm and sunny midweek again. I don't know, it's crazy. But hope you're having a great holiday and that you had a lovely Christmas with your family if you celebrate, and that you're getting all ready for New Year's Eve. We definitely are at our house. So today I have with us my good friend, Melanie Rubin, and those of you who have been following Parenting Aces for a while definitely know Melanie. She has been on this show several times. She has helped me at the U.S. Open. She's covered Kalamazoo on behalf of Parenting Aces, and she is a tennis mom in her own right with two children who played and or currently play tennis at very high levels. Her oldest child, Jessie, was a top-notch junior, played for 4 years at Binghamton College in New York, and is now a young woman, professional, working in New York, and just an awesome all-around human being. Her son, Noah, is a former top junior player, a top college recruit, played a year at Wake Forest and actually got to the finals of the NCAA individual championships this past spring, which was unbelievable for anybody, but especially for a freshman. And recently decided to forego returning to Wake Forest in order to pursue a professional tennis career. And he's got all sorts of exciting things happening in his life. So I'm really looking forward to having Melanie update us on what's going on and her experiences being the parent of a professional player now, as opposed to what it was like when her kids were playing in the juniors and even at the college level. So without further ado, let me bring Melanie on the line.
Good morning, Lisa.
Melanie, hey, how are you? My computer was a little slow there. Before I get you started, let me just give the call-in number out to our listeners really quickly in case they want to chat with us. That number is 714-583-6853. If you want to call and talk to me, if you have a question for Melanie, please call us. We'd love to hear from you. Again, 714-583-6853. Okay, Melanie, hi.
Hi, Lisa. So good to be with you again.
It's so awesome to have you, and I know you are soaking in the sunshine down in Florida, and I'm a little jealous because we're having this kind of gross weather up here in Atlanta, but hope you're having better weather down there.
Yes, it's actually, I'm visiting my parents, my sister, and some other family down here in South Florida for another couple of days, and I must admit it is kind of beautiful here. But then back up to New York.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So I mean, you have these two amazing kids, and I love having you on the show because we have a personal connection. I feel like I'm part of your family, sort of, by proxy, and
you absolutely are.
I love hearing the updates on your kids, and I think it's important to point out to my listeners that while you have two kids, both of whom came up through junior tennis, they have each pursued different pathways after junior tennis. And so I'd love for you to kind of compare and contrast what Jessie did once she entered college versus what Noah did once he entered college, and then kind of catch us up on what's going on with him and his professional career.
Sure, absolutely. Love the opportunity to talk about my kids. Jessie, who was a fabulous player and played on her high school team at Belmore JFK and had a wonderful, wonderful experience, didn't have the same types of experiences that Noah did. They both were junior players. They both worked very hard every day, both on the court and off the court. But I think from the beginning we knew that there were going to be different paths that they were going to take, never knowing for sure, obviously, where those paths would go, but we knew that it was a different sort of thing. Jessie was fortunate enough to play for Binghamton University for 4 years under Mike Stevens and Libby McGovern, and she had a wonderful time, great experience there. The team was amazing. Go Bearcats. And now, as she's entered adulthood and gone on for, like you said, a career in New York City. She worked for Viacom at VH1, and now she's working for NBC. She doesn't have the same opportunities, the time-wise, to play tennis, but she does fit it in. And she's found that the doors that tennis opened for her years ago may not be the same now, but tennis is still opening doors and, making friendships for her and business connections and keeping her on a healthy and fit lifestyle. So up to date, that's pretty much Jessie's experience in tennis. And as you know, Noah has had some very different experiences. While they trained together for many years, it was clear early on that he had a God-given talent, I will say. And from the beginning, we knew that he might have some other opportunities. So grateful for the chance he had to play for Wake Forest. Last year, Noah had the most amazing experience, most amazing year, both in the classroom and on the court and training in the gym. Tony Bresky, Jeremy Feldman, Alex Emery, Ethan Reeve, amazing coaches at Wake Forest that really embraced Noah, embraced our family. I mean, the Southern hospitality was amazing. I mean, I know you know a lot about that.
Yeah, for sure.
We really, they embraced us all, and it was really such. I'm so grateful for that. Noah has teammates and friends for a lifetime now. He will always be a Demon Deacon. And even just last month, went back to Wake Forest and trained for almost a week there right before he went to the Charlotte Challenger. So
wow.
The fact that he has another place to call home in Winston-Salem, is just amazing.
Sure. So he had this amazing year on the Wake Forest team. I mean, his fall started off slow. I think was he injured last fall or he got sick? I forgot what happened, but actually, he was out for a little bit.
He was out for a little bit at the beginning of the spring season. He had fractured his thumb. So
right.
I want to say it was February. And he was out. I want to say he was out for almost a month. So that was the beginning of the spring season.
Yeah, then he came on like gangbusters though, and really made up for the lost time.
He had a very successful on-court season, yes, with Wake Forest. They were a great team. You know, he played a lot of doubles, which is not something he's done a lot before, so that was wonderful. Even just the experience of having a doubles partner in John Ho and working together to have some success on the court in doubles was wonderful for him, both as a person and as a player. And yes, in singles, he played mostly first singles, and he had a very successful time of it. But again, you know, tennis so often is such an individual sport. To be a part of the team and the values and the friendships, and to have that experience, it's invaluable, and I'm so thankful for it for him. And I know he is,
right,
too. And, you know, he's gotten together with teammates since then. And, yes, and he made a run for the national championship, losing to Ryan Shane in the finals, and it was amazing.
It was amazing. And you know, I remember that, you know, there was speculation from the time he announced that he was going to Wake Forest about how long would he stay there. You know, would he stay a year? Would he stay all 4 years? And he was pretty adamant about the fact that he was going to take it season by season and see what happened. And, you know, it was going to be a decision that would not be made lightly. He didn't go into it with the idea that I'm going to play 1 year and then I'm out of here. He really left his options open, and I think that was important.
I agree. And as much as I think part of his head was saying, I'll stay 1 year and then I'll turn pro, a very big part of his head and heart was saying, you know what, let me see how this goes, and let me see if this is the right thing for me. And look, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator, I think the college tennis route is an amazing route, and would I like him to stay another year or so? Possibly. But you know what? He convinced me that turning pro after his first year was the right thing to do for him. He felt that it was time, that he was devoting time to his studies, and it was taking him off the court and out of the gym, where he felt for him it was the right decision to make that change now. I'm very proud of him, though. I must mention he was surprising his girlfriend, and because her family's from Russia, and he's learning Russian. He said, you know what, I'm not in class, I'm not in school right now, but I don't want to stop educating myself. And so he joined Rosetta Stone, and he's starting to take Russian lessons.
Good for him. That's awesome.
I was pretty proud of that, yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, let me ask you this, because last year was a big year for a lot of the young American male players on the Pro Tour. We saw a lot of success among our, you know, kind of Noah's peer group, and so I'm wondering, you know, did any of that sway him? Do you think? Do you feel like he thought,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, if I don't, yeah.
I don't think it was like, oh my gosh.
With that?
Okay, I don't think it was an, oh my gosh, I better catch up to them. I think it was more like, well, you know what, they're finding some success, and I can hang with them on the court. Maybe it's time for me to do that as well. So I think he saw a lot of his contemporaries making some waves, and he felt that it was the right time for him to take that jump as well.
Right.
And you know what? Whatever happens, really, however this journey turns, and you know, we never know from one day to the next what life is going to present us with. Already, just in the past, you know, however many months, 6 months or so that it's been, his experiences, the friendships, and I know I always go back to that, but what my kids have gotten all around as people from the game of tennis is something that every day we're grateful for. And hopefully, I mean, I know Noah's goal, Noah's dream is to be, you know, top in the world. And will that happen? Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen to him and one of these other American guys coming up. That would be amazing. And if it doesn't, they're still a lot luckier in their lives than a lot of people can ever hope to be, experiencing things and making friendships and traveling to places that it's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to just ask you as the parent, what is it like having your child go from playing juniors to college, and sitting and watching that? Because I remember chatting with you when he was playing his first college match, and you were a nervous wreck, but excited. But you said to me, this is way more nerve-wracking than watching him play the juniors.
And you've sat with me whether he was playing juniors, whether he played main draw U.S. Open. I was way more nervous when he played his college match because I felt that other people were relying on him, and I knew that he felt that. And that was a very different pressure than when you're just playing for yourself. Win or lose, I love my kids out on the court. It's amazing. Of course I want my kids to win. Of course I want Noah to win. But it was just different when he was playing for a school and playing for a team and playing for coaches who were working so hard and giving him so much.
Right. Yeah, it's got to feel different out there. And and this is, on a different level, but when my son played for his high school, the same thing. You want them to win for their team. Because, like you said, there are other people relying on them. And I think that's why a lot of the kids tend to gravitate toward things like junior team tennis, and more kids are gravitating toward playing for their high schools because they like that feeling of playing for something bigger than themselves. But, for the kids that haven't gone that route and college is their first experience with it, it's got to be pretty intimidating.
Absolutely. I'm sure it is. It is. I know that Noah felt the pressure that he wanted to perform for his team, for his coaches, for his school.
Right.
And thankfully for him, for the most part, he performed well. So, I'm glad for that.
Well, let me ask you, too, because Jesse went to Binghamton. We talked about this. And Binghamton's Division III, is that right?
No, it's D1. Binghamton University is D1.
Okay, it is D1. But would be considered a mid-major, much like the school where my son is. And so it's a little different vibe than playing at a Wake Forest, which is, where sports are very much in the spotlight. Definitely
a different vibe. And you know what, though? I think they still feel the same pressure because they're still out there every day working with that team, working with those coaches, and wanting to perform for their school. It is definitely different, and you're not getting the same crowds, and you're not getting the same booster support and so forth. But you're out there, and you're on the court, and you're wearing your team colors, and your coach is on the side, and your teammates are shouting, the court numbers and so forth. And I think that there's still a great pressure and a great joy in that.
Sure. Well, that's good to hear. It is good to hear. So this summer you got to spend some time with Noah when he played in the Binghamton. It was a challenger at Binghamton or a futures?
A challenger.
A challenger. So share that experience with us.
I wish I could travel with Noah all the time. It would be amazing. Not that he needs his mom there, but I'm a school teacher.
They always need their mom there. They always need their mom. They don't know it always.
Right.
But they do.
I'm a school teacher, so I don't get off a lot. I do get off in the summer, which I'm thankful for. And I was able to go up to the Binghamton, the LGT Challenger, where Noah was playing. Now Noah Noah trains at the John McEnroe Tennis Academy on Randall's Island in New York. And typically there's a young pro that will travel with him, different pros traveling with him to different tournaments. So this, for the Binghamton Challenger, he went with this guy Mark, and he stayed with him. But I stayed in the same hotel, and it was an eye-opening experience for me to see the difference between a junior tournament and a professional tournament. Now, you're talking a challenger level tournament, which is a step up from the futures, and the guys playing in a challenger are typically 200 to 400 in the world, give or take. Then there's qualifiers that get in and so forth, and they're struggling. And it was really eye-opening to see the struggle. They're working so hard.
You mean from a financial perspective?
But I think it's more than just financial. But yes, the financial perspective, you're on your own. It's not like, you're a baseball player and, the Mets have just signed you and everything that you need is taken care of. We're talking guys who, have worked their whole lives, are on the tour, playing at a high level. And, say, this particular tournament, they covered everyone's breakfast. But some mornings, eggs weren't included. And the guys couldn't really say, okay, I'll order the eggs anyway and pay for it myself. And I saw this happening time and time again because they're watching every penny. And it was really, eye-opening in that way. And then also to see Noah actually was there for quite a number of days, although he didn't get that far into the tournament, but because of scheduling and weather and, the same sorts of things that happen in junior tournaments, I want to say it was Friday. He had split sets on Thursday, and he had to get to Lexington, Kentucky the next day to try to qualify for the next challenger. Mm-hmm. Now, we were fortunate enough, or he's fortunate enough for the team that he has at the John McEnroe Tennis Academy taking care of so many of the logistics for him. What I mean by that, so his match is not scheduled to, say, 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Okay, if he lost, they'd have to get their rental car back, get a flight to Kentucky to get there in time for this match. If he won, then he would have to call the tournament director to get an exemption from the first round of qualifying. And I'm going on and on. Or maybe we catch a flight, drive down to New York City 3 or 4 hours, catch a flight there to Kentucky because we don't have to change planes. And I know I'm talking about a lot of silly logistics, but when you need to focus on winning that third set, and you have to think about all these other things, you don't realize that maybe in junior tennis, more so you had your parents taking care of this. As these pros who are 23, 24, 25, they're taking care of it on their own when they need to be focusing on what they need to do on the court.
Right. And they're not even all 23, 24. A lot of them are 17, 18. And
absolutely.
Doing this really, on their own, right?
Yes, it really runs the gamut. 17, 18-year-olds and 32-year-olds.
Yeah.
It was really very different. It was an awesome experience. I actually took a picture. I'm sure you'll remember the picture I took at that tournament. I think it was Tommy Paul, Riley Opelka, Francis, and Noah, and it was just like these top juniors now taking that next step and playing in the Challenger tournament. And it was a great experience, and I have to shout out to Rebecca Stolman, who took care of everybody's needs there, at the Binghamton Challenger. But just to see the struggles, and I remember Noah at one point said, there's no more, is it Tuesday, is today Wednesday, is it a match day or is it a training day? Tennis is year-round. They have an off-season in December where they're training. But it's really, am I training today or is today a match day, and how am I handling that, and what do I have to do differently? Days of the week don't matter anymore. And it's just, I know I'm talking about a lot of small things here, but add it all together into the big picture, it just seemed it's very different from the junior and college tennis experience so far.
And was that Noah's first tournament after announcing that he was leaving college?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
I don't
put you on the spot.
No, that's so funny. I'm terrible. I don't keep track of these things as well as I should. You know what? I'm guessing it's not, because he I don't think so. No. I know he played. He was lucky enough. He got a wild card into the Tennis Hall of Fame tournament.
Mhm.
He played that prior to this. I'm not sure what else.
Okay. So,
Okay.
I mean, he had already been out there a little bit, but I mean,
a couple weeks. Yeah.
Let's face it. So, I mean, college tennis. The season ended the end of May. I mean, because he was the last match of the season.
Yes.
He played in the final. So, I mean, that was the end of May. So we're talking. He finishes up his school year, and then boom. He launches his professional career with really no downtime. I mean,
correct.
Right? He just went boom, boom. Yeah.
He played a futures. I remember he did play a futures at that was being held at Wake Forest after the season had ended. And when he came home from that tournament, he came to our home in Merrick, and with his sister and I there, he formulated his tweet, which Jesse edited for grammar, and he tweeted out to everybody his decision to turn pro.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a big day. It was a very big day. It was.
And we went to sushi afterwards to celebrate.
Well, there you go. And I'm guessing you had a spicy tuna roll. I don't know.
Yes, I guess you know me too well. That's funny.
That was kind of our daily lunch at the U.S. Open.
That's right, it was.
Yeah.
What's interesting to note, though, there was a time in the last month or so that Noah was considering going back to Wake Forest for the spring season. And the reason that was possible was because NCAA rules have it that you can only earn a certain amount of money in the year to still have your eligibility. And I forget what the number is. It may have been $10,000 or something like that.
Yes.
Noah had not earned that much in these last few months. So he still had the opportunity, and he was toying with the idea of going back for the spring season this year.
And I think what made that final decision? That the Australian Open wild card?
The final decision was the wild card. Yes, that really made his decision. And it was a weird way of getting it, and he earned it, but it was an odd way of it happening.
So talk about that a bit, because I mean, it's not often that a young player in Noah's position, just coming off of a year of school, just turning pro, has the opportunity to earn a wild card in this manner. I mean, this is not USTA handing you a wild card just because they're using their subjective criteria to give it to you. There were specific criteria that players had to achieve in order to qualify and earn the wild card, and Noah was the one who did that.
Yes. So from what I understand, the way the USTA used to do it was there was a tournament, a wild card playoff tournament, which
in Atlanta.
Asia Pacific.
In Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I covered it every year. It was really fun. I was bummed when they stopped doing that, actually. We got some great young players here. It was a cool event for our city.
But for what I understand, the players weren't that thrilled with the event because December is their only off season, the only time that they don't have to play tournaments. And now what the USTA does is there's 3 challengers in a row. It's Charlotte. Oh, my goodness, I'm terrible. And where were the other 2 tournaments?
Don't ask me. I don't remember. I tweeted about him, but I don't remember now.
Thank you. I remember only the one my son won. So,
well, there you go. That's the only important one.
It's not, but I thank you for that. I know. So Noah has not won many rounds and challenges before, and really did very well. And I'll talk about one of the reasons I think he did so well afterwards. But he did really well in the Charlotte Challenger, and he ended up winning. And what the USTA now does is for those 3 tournaments in a row, the American player that earns the most points in those 3 tournaments combined wins the Australian Open wild card. So here we are at the 3rd tournament, and Noah's not in it anymore, and he's not in the finals. And the final is an American against a non-American. And if the American was to win, Noah wouldn't get the wild card. If the non-American is to win, then Noah would have had the most points combined over the 3 tournaments and would get the wild card. So his fate was in other people's hands, and right. It was a very unusual way for it to go. And it turns out the non-American won, and Noah won the wild card. And
yay, Noah.
And yay, Noah. And it's a wonderful opportunity for him, and he's very excited to go. He's leaving beginning of January, and he'll play a warm-up tournament in Australia, and then the Australian Open. And then on the way home from Australia is planning on playing the Challenger in Maui.
Oh, poor kid.
Poor kid, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? He's working his tail off. He really is. And for the last bunch of months, he's been working with Richard Mensing, and he's nutritionist, trainer, conditioner, and he really has changed Noah around in so many ways. And I really credit Richard, obviously, and Noah for his win in Charlotte, his ability he's working longer and harder, and it all has to do with his training off the court and his nutrition. And
wow.
In fact, so now they really put the pedal to the metal in December, really wanting to get Noah ready to go to Australia. They spent, I think, 5 or 6 days down in South Beach in Miami without rackets, training on the sand, training in the ocean, training on the track, training in the pool. It's summertime in Australia, and from what we understand, it gets pretty hot out there on the court. And this is all part of his training. He even trained, once he got home, he was training in a sauna.
Wow.
So he's really, really working hard, and he's making the opportunities for himself. And as much as he's lucky and he's fortunate in many ways, he's also creating opportunities for himself with the hard work that he's putting in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so talk a little more about this Charlotte tournament, because you said that was a big kind of turning point for him. I mean, for obvious reasons, winning the tournament and positioning himself to get the wild card to the Australian Open. But what else?
Okay, what else? Well, when he was making his decision whether or not to turn pro, a lot of people, there's advice from everywhere. And people are saying, well, you should be winning challengers before you decide to turn pro. Noah, up till that point, as an amateur, had played and gone to the finals, I want to say, of 4 or 5 futures, which, for anyone who doesn't know, the futures are lower level professional tournaments. The next level up are the challengers. So here he was. He hadn't even won any futures tournaments. Like I said, went to the finals of 4 or 5 of them, which was awesome, but hadn't gotten any further. In a challenger, I want to say he hadn't gotten even past the first round in a challenger. And we all know. Look, and Noah has said this in the past, even back a few months. He can see himself going to the quarterfinals of an ATP event, and he can see himself losing in the first round of a futures.
Right.
A lot of it is luck of the draw. A lot of it is, that day, any given Sunday, so to speak.
Sure.
So the fact that he now has worked hard enough and trained hard enough and had those opportunities to get through this challenger and have a challenger title under his belt was a big deal. He was also in that challenger final. He had lost the first set. I don't remember the score. I want to say 6-4, but I could be wrong. And then I think he was down 5-1 in the second set. And he rallied back. And he took the title. And being able to have his head together enough and the confidence enough to do that, I mean, we all know, anyone who's been involved in tennis knows how hard it is to turn something around like that. And he came back and he won the tournament. And that ended up the domino effect, giving him the wild cards, and he's headed to Australia.
Yeah, it's
playing
awesome.
in the main draw of a Grand Slam. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Right. And I mean, just to be clear, because he has played in the main draw of the U.S. Open before, and he earned that wild card by winning Kalamazoo. So
yes.
That was an earned wild card as well. That wasn't a gift. That was something he earned. And that was 2 years ago? Is that, am I?
2014,
yes.
Yeah.
2014. So,
yeah.
So a year and a half ago that he had that opportunity. He had played, he won Wimbledon Juniors. He had played in the U.S. Open Juniors. He played the French Open Juniors as well, right?
He has played, yes. He's never been to Australia.
Yes. Okay. But so at the junior level, he played several Grand Slam events. At the professional level, he, like I said, earned the wild card into the main draw of the U.S. Open by virtue of winning Kalamazoo, which was phenomenal. But I have to think, and correct me if I'm wrong, earning the wild card into the Australian Open by virtue of winning a professional event or a series of professional events, because he had the most points at the end of the series, that has to feel quite different.
And, that's interesting that you say. I've never asked him that particular question. I know the fact that he kind of, this was a hurdle for him to get so far in a challenger itself, just, to win the challenger title. I know that was a hurdle for him, something that he was hoping to accomplish and hoping to put behind him now. So whether or not he feels different about the experience, there was something very electric and exciting about playing at the U.S. Open when we live 40 minutes from the U.S. Open. He passes the grounds every day on his way to training. So there's something, it was electric, yet it was also very comfortable. Our whole lives, we brought the kids to the U.S. Open. They played at the Arthur Ashe Kids Day and, walked around there. So it was home. To play in a Grand Slam on the other side of the world, that I know he feels very differently about.
Yeah. What are his expectations, do you think, heading into this event?
I know he's feeling confident. He's feeling confident in himself, in his ability to hang in there, to do what he needs to do. And just hopefully, he wants to take advantage of the opportunity that's presented to him.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because whenever the draws come out for these events, and and I know we watch the young players to see where they're going to fall in the draw. And on the one hand, you hope that they draw another wild card or a qualifier in their first match just so they, can get there and kind of get their feet wet and work out the nerves or whatever. On the other hand, you hope they draw Novak and get to play on center court to have that experience. So
and honestly, however the cards play out, however it turns out, it's going to be awesome. Yes, as well as I do, because we sat there for that, the draw ceremony for the U.S. Open when he was going to play, and you don't know what to hope for, but you hope it just goes whatever way it goes, and it's all good. And yes, because all those things are good. Do I hope he has a match where he has a chance to win? Yes, I hope he has that. Do I hope he has a match where he gets to play Federer? Yes, that would be awesome too. Who knows? Maybe he'll have both those experiences.
Right, and that would be fantastic. So will you stay up and watch if he's playing in the middle of the night, which is highly likely given?
As will everybody I know. Yes, of course. I'm still.
For those of you, let me just say, for those listening who don't know you personally, Let me just put it out there that Melanie is the queen of social media, and she will make sure that everybody who has ever heard her name or her son's name knows what time and how to watch him play. So I will be forwarding that information for those of you who are not personally connected to her. You have me as your connection, and so we will make sure that information is out there. So, Melanie, he will definitely have a viewing audience. No worries there.
Thank you for that. Thank you. You know, and just as you were talking about that, it just conjured up the image. I'll never forget, you know, Jessie and I and her boyfriend Jake were sitting in our living room when Noah and Stefan took to the court for the Wimbledon Junior Final in 2014, watching on, you know, we had a large screen laptop and it was live streamed, and just the moment that those two boys took the court with thousands of people watching them, both live streaming and but obviously in the audience there, was such a humbling moment. I know the boys, they share, you know, how overwhelmed they both were when they walked out there. And, you know, it's experiences like that get them to maybe the next time, and the fact that he played at the U.S. Open already, hopefully will, you know, some of the nerves won't be there. And it's just, I'm in awe. I'm in awe of the opportunities that he's had. I really am. I'm so, I know I keep saying grateful because I really am, you know, for him.
And like you said, the opportunities didn't just come by luck. I mean, he has worked hard to create them. But a lot of tennis, and when Gail Pitts-Black was on the show, she talked a lot about this, and I know you feel the same way. You have to be in the right place at the right time and create opportunities for your child. And somebody said to me yesterday, and it's very true, a junior player doesn't get to the top of the game without a very involved parent, at least one, to make sure that the right doors are being opened, to make sure that the right coaches are involved, you know, to get them to the proper tournaments, you know, to get them the proper sponsorships if necessary. So this is not something that is easily accomplished alone. There are players, absolutely, who find a way to make it by themselves out there. I don't know how they do it, but it really does take a village to create a top player, and Noah has a pretty awesome village around him. And
he does.
I know, Talk about that.
Sorry. Okay, and I'm not just saying, you know, certainly I'll take some credit for helping out in certain ways, but no, he's been very fortunate for many years to have an awesome village. Noah's dad and I are no longer married, but when we were and the kids were younger, you know, we both brought the kids on the court, you know, young, just, you know, as a family experience. His dad would feed them balls, and I'd pick up the balls and whisper words of encouragement to the kids, and so it was a family affair. Tennis, as we know, is not, for the most part, is not a sport that is easily affordable. I'm a school teacher, and for 8 years I also worked at the club at Sport Time where Jessie and Noah took lessons, and I ran their tennis camp for them and did things year round. In exchange, I never got paid. In exchange for my kids to have free lessons year round, and you know, my kids were on the court 4, 5, 6 days a week, and. You know, Noah's dad was also intimately involved with the coaches to make sure that things were going well on the court. I was making sure things were going well off the court. And yes, I must say the people that have surrounded Noah all these years he's been lucky enough to have people helping him navigate these waters, and whether it's the waters of junior tennis, helping him choose the proper tournaments, to now navigate the waters of turning, being a new pro, and talking to different companies about sponsorships, and also choosing which tournaments to play in, and taking just it's a wonderful team, and he's very fortunate. And no, it would be very difficult to do it alone.
Well, and I remember having a conversation with you about another young player, and I'm not going to name names, but this is another player who had recently turned pro, and the family just really had no clue what to do in terms of how to get financial backing, how to choose tournaments, how to even enter tournaments. I mean, they were at a complete loss. Well, exactly.
Because
we all
for junior players, and I'm sorry I'm talking over you right now, but this is very important. For junior players, the parents are so fortunate because they have parenting aces. If they have questions, if they don't know what to do, they can ask Lisa Stone at Parenting Aces. We need a Parenting Aces for the pros. But yes, it's true. Well, you have helped thousands navigate junior tennis. There isn't that resource necessarily. I mean, the USTA is helpful, I must say. Kudos to the USTA. They are helpful in many ways. But this one particular kid that you're talking about, whose parents had some difficulties, I happened to befriend the mother and put her in touch with you, and put her in touch with another top, a top professional American parent right now to help her navigate the waters. Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
It isn't easy, and I think, it was eye-opening to me to hear from you how complicated it can be. And when I dug into it a little more, I realized this player was not alone. This family was not alone. There are a lot of players that, are new to the professional circuit and really are kind of left to their own devices to figure things out. And like you said, USTA does provide some guidance, but obviously they can't be there for every single professional, and so it's a challenge out there. And I'm bringing this up because I hear from parents all the time. They have a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old, and my kid wants to be a professional tennis player, and they're a 4-star on tennis recruiting, and they're in the top 100 in our section, and I think it's really important to understand that while those things are amazing and awesome and you should embrace them and keep encouraging your child, it is not just an announcement that you're going to turn pro and then you find success as a professional. There is a long process, and there are a lot of ins and outs to that process that are different. Just like junior tennis is different for every player, that road to the professional circuit is different for every player. And I think it's really important that parents keep their eyes open about this process, their minds open. Desire to be a professional is one piece of the puzzle, but it's certainly not the whole puzzle.
No, look, you have to have ability, you have to have the training and the work ethic, you have to have your head together, and you need all those things that anybody would naturally assume that you would need to be a professional tennis player. And look, and I'm speaking of the mother of a very new professional tennis player. So things may change, and I may change my views as time goes on. But as you and I have both learned through the beginning of this journey, it's so much more involved in that. And even just like I was mentioning from the Binghamton Challenger, the silly things like, the monetary things of getting eggs, or the logistics of, do I have time to return the rental car before Noah ended up losing that match on a Friday. He couldn't get a flight out until, I think they left the hotel at 4 a.m. on Saturday. From Binghamton, flew somewhere else, and then flew to Lexington and went right to the court.
Right.
And got on the court. So, and he was fortunate enough that while he had to do all the training and he had to perform on the court, he had a pro with him, and he had his team back in New York helping him navigate the logistics that he didn't have to worry about. So he's very fortunate in that way, but most players are not.
Right.
And they're...
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there are a lot of them that, you know, they don't even have money to stay in hotels. So they're either driving tournament to tournament and sleeping in their car, or they're relying on tournament personnel to arrange housing for them. And so, honestly, you know, those of you listening out there, if you want to have a cool experience for your junior player, house a professional player for a tournament. Find out if there's a professional event coming to your area and volunteer to house a player. My family used to house players all the time when I was growing up, and, I mean, it was really cool because, you know, as a 12-year-old and I'm meeting these 25-year-old professional athletes, I mean, what a cool experience for me. But I would say you and your child will learn more from that experience, maybe, about the sport of tennis than years of lessons. So.
Look, you and I have both housed players, and we've also been involved in making connections for certain players with friends that we've made through tennis around the country to help house certain players. Look, for that Charlotte tournament, Noah had come straight from training at Wake Forest for a few days with his past doubles partner, Johnny Ho, and they stayed at a woman's house for the Charlotte tournament, and she has connections with Wake Forest, so they had helped arrange that housing, and it was a wonderful experience. Noah did not have family there for him, but this woman came to all his matches, and her children came.
Right.
And for the kids who are players, it was an amazing experience for them to get to know the guys and to get to root for someone who was staying in their home for a week, and it was an amazing experience for them. And we also always have to remind people of this. Bring your kids to watch local college tennis matches. It's free, and it's an amazing experience, and it's an eye-opener in many ways for kids. Bring them to high-level tennis, college tennis matches, and not as high-level college tennis matches. It's available, and it's wonderful, and it's a day that they will cherish, and I promise them that. And do it often.
Right, absolutely.
Hashtag college tennis.
There you go. I think, you know, it's valuable and important to point out, Melanie, that just because Noah didn't stay at Wake for 4 years, it doesn't diminish the experience he had there, and it doesn't diminish the value that he and your family places on college tennis. And
not for a moment.
Right, and I want listeners to leave this show hearing that. It's important because I think there are a lot of people that, you know, they might look at someone like Noah who only played for a year as, you know, kind of that's what you have to do to make it on the pro tour. But there are plenty of players who do go to college for 4 years and have successful professional careers, and I think it's crucial that we point that out and point out that even at this early stage of his professional career, that he understands the value that he gained from that year at Wake Forest. 100%. 100%.
And it was not... Oh, okay.
Go ahead. And I think I know who it is. But caller from 410-960, are you there?
I sure am. Hi, Melanie.
Who is this?
Who's your favorite long lost family member from Baltimore?
I thought it was Saul. Hello, Saul Schwartz.
Hey guys. The
Hello,
college tennis thing must have been my cue.
That's right. Hashtag Save College Tennis.
Yeah, save college tennis.
So, Saul, let's give a shout out to Hall of Bird Sports, who we all know and love. What's up today? What you calling in with?
Oh, I had to call in and say hi to the two greatest tennis moms next to mine on the planet.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. Well, we're glad you called in. I hope you had a chance to listen because Melanie shared some good stuff with us today.
Oh, I'm sure. Look, I mean, what's happening with Noah is a dream come true. And,
absolutely.
As much as, I love the fact that he was doing the college experience, I don't necessarily believe that he's made the wrong move at this point. I think he had to jump on the opportunity now. I think this is where his game can jump the most. So.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead, Saul.
No, you go ahead.
And, and you guys both know that I'm realistic in many ways, although I share my son's dreams for himself. And I think whichever way he would have gone, whether he would have stayed in school longer or decided to take the leap now, I think that roads would lead to great things for him, and whatever that means, great things experience-wise, success on the court, as a person, I think he's, he'll do well either way.
Well, look, the one thing that always gets lost in the whole tennis arena is the fact that is what our sport creates. Our sport doesn't create monsters. Our sport creates the greatest, most successful people that exist professionally or in any field. I mean, that's what the sport teaches the individual who's playing. So anybody that prolongs their time in the game and develops that independence and learns how to make the choices and learns how to work hard because nothing's given to you, then that's what they get. So Noah staying in college, Noah turning pro, whatever, he's a perfect example of it's going to be the best no matter what he does. Whatever field he ends up ultimately doing. If he has success, hey, he's got that 1 in a million shot. He's got to take it. If he goes back to school, he's going to be great in school. And he's going to go on to a professional career of something that will be spectacular. Because that's what we do.
Thank you, Saul. But you know what you made me think about? I'm just thinking about Jessie again. Here she was, she played for Binghamton. It was amazing, how she grew as a person, ended up being captain of the team by her senior year, and not because she was the best player. That was not her role. She was a very good player, but her independence and her leadership that she developed, that's where she was shining. And then making the jump into the professional world in New York City for her, during interviews, people ask her about her college tennis experiences and being a D1 player, and she's made connections in the elevator of her building because of her tennis experiences, and it has kept her playing, and it has kept her moving up professionally because of all these open doors because of tennis.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you can't have a more successful child than what Jessie represents. I mean, well, look, it's the truth, because look at the dynamic of the tennis player in college. The tennis teams always have the highest GPA in the schools. It's pretty much universally known. She's at the top of her class at the school. She gave the valedictorian speech. I mean,
it wasn't the valedictorian speech,
or whatever it's called.
She did speak at the graduation. Thank you.
Well, that's whatever. You know what I mean. I mean, you don't get that opportunity if you're the 10th person on the basketball team. You earn it by being successful in the class and in your sport or whatever you're doing for your school. That's what's represented by that. And going into the professional ranks, I mean, she was doing this on her own. trying to get through the progression of jobs that she's taken to where she is now. I mean, it's all based on what's tennis driven in her life. It all plays in. It's plain and simple.
And we hear this story repeatedly. I mean, Jessie is exceptional, and there are other exceptional former junior tennis players doing great things in the world, and that's what we love about the sport. So, guys, I hate to cut us off because I'm having so much fun chatting with y'all, but we are down to the end of the hour, and Melanie and I both have very busy afternoons, so I don't know about you, but we have places to go. So
I'm ducking out. I'm ducking out of work right now.
There you go. Thank you both for being on, Melanie. We will, as you know, be watching Noah in Australia and wishing him the best of luck. And to my listeners, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another great show, and the podcast will be online later this afternoon, so check it out. Thank you all, and have a great week.
Thank you, guys. Happy and healthy New Year to everybody.
You too.
And same to all of you.
Bye-bye.
You could spend $1 in that app on your phone, buy a digital hat for your digital avatar's digital pet dolphin. He likes it. Then again, he's not real. Maybe get a Crunchwrap slider at Taco Bell instead. 4 delicious flavors like sriracha chicken and spicy beefy nacho for just $1 each. Sorry, buddy. No, I refuse to be guilt-tripped by a pretend dolphin. Crunchwrap sliders. They're real and real delicious. Only at Taco Bell. Click the banner or order online at TacoBell.com. At participating locations for a limited time. Prices may vary. Tax extra.